Hi, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay? Hello? Hey, John. Um, can you guys hear all right? Hi, Bruce. Can you hear me okay? Oh, good. Okay. That always have to check that out first. Hang on, let me see. It's trying to get the light right in here. Yeah, this will work, I guess. I don't get much better than this. Hi, Raphael. How's it going, man? Uh, that Booty Lane and just an amazing watch you got, Raphael. Truth Fears, how's it going? John, let me see. I heart, how are you? Okay, all right. Well, we got some folks here that we can get started with. One of the things I was screwing around with today, uh, some years ago, this the guy who was the head of Fiat Motors in Italy decided that he was going to wear his watch on the outside of his sleeve. Hey, Clyde, I got I got something possibly for you. I don't know. Um, and so I thought, well, I'll try it. And to tell you the truth, on the one hand, it's really handy because you don't have to pull up your sleeves to look at the time. On the other hand, I sort of like it better. But there was an astronaut who had a great big sleeve, and there's no way you're going to pull out your in space. And so he had his Omega on the outside, and I think yeah, there's some other guys did too. So I'm just screwing around. That's how come I have this on. And by the way, it's a Parmigiani Fleurier Tonda uh, hemispheres. I was looking at something before we get started. Hey, Mason, um, I saw this new watch that Clyde got, and man, that thing is different. So I went and read a lot of the reviews on it, and in looking at it, it 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 appeared to have on the dial in the numbers themselves and on also on the hands a type of enameling called clonsene, and clonsene has a I think gold wires or some kind of like little borders, and then they put the enamel inside of that and then bake it, and so you have this sort of raised effect plus the enamel on the inside, and it's really cool. But one of the things that I noticed is that none of the reviewers mentioned that. I'm thinking, wait a minute, you know, you guys, what's going on here? Um, and I think some of them is that the more we again as collectors, a lot of times they don't know that or they don't pay attention to it or one thing or the other, and it just like we're on our own. Yeah. So like the guys on a desert island, you're on your own. Okay, hey Pip Linda, let's see, Porsche Porsche Maven, hi. Let's see, Tom, Clyde, Mason. Let me see who else. Krajmir, how are you? Neil, Tom, Forbin Colossus, how are you? Tree Dillinger, how's it going? Okay. Um, so this is what I wanted to talk about. I really want to talk about a couple things. Um, I simply brought up Clyde's new watch because I thought it was really interesting. I'll let Clyde tell you guys all about it later. Hi, Jim. Um, but what I wanted to do, and I think I may have talked about this before, because it does a couple things, and that is that what if no watches had any brand name on them at all? You go into a watch store and you say, well, I want a watch that does this and does that, and I want this shape. You say, well, I want a rectangular shape, and I want to have a back that I can see, and you just sort of do it that way. And so I thought, okay, so what would you look for? And and this is something. Or you may look, does it have Clone All right. Whatever you want in a watch, you'd have to, and I think that may help us in that. On the one hand, we do go in if we want a certain brand of watch. Well, if you go into a Rolex store and say I'm looking for a Submariner, or you're looking for a oh, I don't know what they all are. You're looking for a Kermit, whatever kinds of watches they have, and you ask for certain features on it. The same with me. I go in and I'm looking at a Lang and Hein, and I want, among, before anything else, I want the Caliber 6. I can't afford the Caliber 5, but the Caliber 6 has a trigonal bridge on it, so that's what I like. But the in terms of other kinds of stuff, is that what are we really getting, and what, I say, well, we assume certain things are going to be there. If you buy a Patek Philippe, you assume, you don't even have to ask, that it's going to have a Patek Philippe movement in there. I doubt most people who buy Patek Philippe's ask, well, what kind of movement? I mean, well, if it's manual or automatic, maybe, but that's about it. And they wouldn't ask about the lift angle. They wouldn't ask about the frequency, or any of those other kinds of things. Okay, so let's see. We got AP. The porthole should be on the back, so you can see the movement, like looking through a porthole on a ship. That said, forward. God. All right, you guys, settle down. Hey, Francesc, how's it going? Okay, brand agnostic. I look at a watch on its own merits and how much I like it. Yeah, Mason, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Is that if you go in and you have that, but let's say, I mean, how much can we assume about a brand? I assume if one of these days I get a Rolex and I drop it in a swimming pool, it's going to be okay. If I drop my Lang and Hein in a swimming pool, I don't know if it's going to be okay. I sort of got a feeling it may not be. It might be because it's sealed up, but those kinds of things, we assume certain things. You may assume, well, it's been done by hand. It goes to a big machine. I was reading about a young French guy, and he decided he didn't like, what are they called? What are those machines called? I keep wanting to say CDC machines, but there's some kind of processing machines that will grind something or shape something. Anyway, he didn't believe in that, and he wanted to do the whole thing. Yeah, CNC. That's it, Franishek. That's exactly what I was looking for. Yeah, the CNC machines. Well, this guy didn't believe in CNC machines. In fact, I was thinking of getting one for the as my work as a pretentious watchmaker. But and so I was reading about him, what the guy did, and then he has this watch that he made, and I looked at it, and it was just amazing. I've seen some videos of the way Roger Smith does that, the same thing. So you see these guys working on it, and you look at it, and you can really see all of the parts to it, and so you really know what you're getting. Patel must be made in India. Patek, not Patel. Okay. All right. So what do you guys think? Okay, hey, Airtoad, it's got to fit, be easy to read, survive the crash and sinking, even if I don't. Okay. Hey, David, I tend to assess on use case and complication. Dive, GMT, world timer. Okay, David, and materials. how much do we really know about materials? That's one thing that I find very interesting is that, really, what do we know about the materials? Do they tell you? One thing I found out is that um, most watches don't tell you the lift angle. And if you're doing any kind of just seeing if everything is working, knowing the lift angle really helps. Jim, so you're looking at the materials, the quality of finishing, and so forth. Okay, this is pretty much um yeah. Okay, Fanatec, what's the deal with that FP Journe tantalum material? Um, what about tantalum? Anybody have a blue out there? There are not a lot of them. Chronomet blue by FP Journe. Tantalum is a very hard, very hard, very tough metal. And one thing FP Journe is that, well, nobody else is using it, so he thought he'd put it in there, and it's really fantastic. It's hard to work with, but he figured out how to work with it. One of the things about tantalum that's sort of weird, one of the places that it's was mined, it was either in Rwanda or the Congo, and the poverty there is just unbelievable. And so what they were doing is that they were feeding the workers gorilla meat, and so this was depleting the gorilla population. So I thought, like, oh my God, I'm looking at somebody who ate a gorilla. That's minus stuff. There are all kinds of things about that. But tantalum, I think FP Journe is the only person who uses it. And from everything I've heard, it lives up to it's incredibly strong. I'm brand agnostic too. I wonder if there really is a Rolex. I don't think so. Hey Tim, how's it going? Uh, so there's looking at these things. I let me give you another use case. Um, let's say you go in and you buy or let's say your grandfather had bought a Patek Philippe. All right, went and got a Patek Philippe, and it was one that you can't see the movement. And at some point in time, we'll say that Patek Philippe had said, "Look, we can't do this. We're having a real cash flow problem, so we're going to have to. The movements are costing us a lot of money to create, and we ran out. And we need the cap and so forth." And somebody says, "Look, um, they've got these knockoffs of the ETA movements by this outfit called Seagull. I just happen to have one right here. Here's a Seagull. It's called a Seagull ST36 something something, probably 00. Okay, now this movement is one that I've tweaked down to almost zero error. All right, and I'm other than the ones I break by taking them apart and having the pieces fly around, um, they work pretty well. So let's say that you had it and your grandfather gave it to your father and your father gave it to you. So you got this Patek Philippe and it keeps perfect time. Okay, and one day something goes wrong with it, and you're yeah, Frantic. Yeah, the thing about they're not lubed out of the factory, so you have to, that's another thing you get to learn is how to lube it up. They'll last for a while before you have interesting excite before things get interesting. So anyway, so you have this, and it's lasted, we'll say, 50 years. And so you take it in, they pop it open, and they tell you, say, hey, this thing has been running on a Seagull ST36. Everything else about it is genuine, but this is the part that's important. It came out of the Patek Philippe factory. All right, they had a. We'll just say it was a temporary thing. They put in these seagulls, and they made sure they had seen the same thing that Prentice had said, and so they lubricated them. They put the lubricant in, and it worked beautifully. Here's a watch that worked beautifully for 50 years, and then it all of a sudden there was a kind of problem that someone with a watch that old was not unusual for it to require service. But when they take it in, they find out it had one of these ST36s. So, and we'll say that the guy who they took it to was not wise to the fact that there was this sort of this one reference number had these movements in them that were not the real thing, or at least they weren't built by Patek Philippe. And by the way, too, Patek Philippe has used movements by other companies before, including I think they've used them by Girard Perregaux, and I think also I'm pretty sure by Jaeger-LeCoultre. So I mean, it's not the fact that they haven't done that, and they usually do it when they need movements for something. Hey, Abdul, how's it going, man? Okay, so I mean, so what is going on if you have that kind of situation? And in a way, we're talking about a situation where the brand really doesn't matter. Okay, you look at a Breguet Classique and wonder if it's that much better than a Tourbillon. Yeah, Clyde. That's exactly the kind of question that I'm asking. Is that the extent to which we become brand aware? We need to be sure that brand is doing what it's supposed to be doing. This is how come I get uh, so really unhappy with companies that put their own name sounding caliber on a movement. They didn't. Maybe the movement's pretty good. There were a lot of people who said, "Oh, ETAs are really great. They're much better than I don't think you ought to be saying bad things about ETA movements." By and large, I haven't said anything. I've never said anything bad about ETA movements. What I do say, though, I say a lot of bad things about companies that don't tell us buyers, collectors, that the movement that they're calling XYZ or whatever is really an ETA. And they say, well, ETA movements are really pretty good, so we're using good movement. Okay, that's fine. Just tell me what's in there. If it's so good, say, hey, we got an ETA movement in here, and it's a really good movement, and that's how come we chose it. Boom. All right, not a problem. And we don't have to charge quite as much. If you take a look at the movements used in Nomos called the Alpha, and the Alpha was I think it was, I don't want to say exactly a clone, but pretty close to a Pazu 7001. Okay, so they got and this Pazu 7001 is considered a really good movement. It's now owned by ETA, so it's an ETA 7001. Nomos makes one called the Alpha and puts it in there. And this is the thing about Nomos and why I like Nomos so much and trust them. They never called that an in-house movement. They didn't really refer to any of their movements as in-house until they started coming out with the DUW. Those they called in-house, they never used that word with the Alpha. And the thing of it is that what the Alpha really is an improved Pazu 7001. And from what I hear, they really did a good job on it. Hi, Alf Null. How you doing? Okay, let's see. Any middle-aged married man knows how to apply. Oh, God. Come on. This is Clyde. Don't go down the Archie rabbit hole, okay? Behave yourself. I did all that work to find out about your watch for you. Found out something about the about your the enameling they did. Good grief. Okay, so Forbin, the chief value of brand is reliable manufacture. The goodwill and covenant of the reputator. When brands cheapen their goods, they undercut their term. Who trusts Omega now? Okay, you got a point. Tree Dillinger, the rabbit hole, right? Yeah, don't go there, Clyde. Don't go into that dark place. Okay, nobody wants to go down Archie's rabbit hole. Then behave yourself. Don't. Good grief. I mean, it's like going to a daycare center for the. I don't know. All right. Mont Blanc started using Minerva movements. Yes, and they're very proud of the fact that they have. You know, there's a whole I don't know what routine we'll say of like, well, I mean, you hear these people either they own the watch or they're part of the watch business, and they have a routine of why it's okay to say and do anything they want to and not tell you very much. You know, like there was a I don't know, has anybody have any of you been? Hey, Rich. Have any of you been to the Rolex where they make their watches and stuff and seen the inside of it and what they do? No, nobody is. You know, there are a lot of Rolex fans. Have any of you been there and seen how they do it? Because I've known people who have been to Demier. I know that they've been to oh, what are they called? Precise Instruments. They've been to Vasseur. All of the and they have tours of it. You can go see how they're done. I've seen a video. Okay, from the inside. Rolex never heard of them. Yeah, probably haven't. I can only afford Swiss watches. I can afford the traveler. I can't afford to. I haven't been to. I haven't been to Switzerland either. Art has been going on these really neat trips over there. He went to the Swiss watches, and this summer he's going to the German one. So that ought to be interesting. Okay, Zodiac is using fossil STP movements. Oh, I didn't know that. Zodiac is that's a story for another time. Time to go to Baselworld then. Yeah, boy, I would really like to go there. By the way, too, if anyone is going to Baselworld or Baselworld, I joined the Independent Watchmakers Association, not as a member, but as a friend. And they have a lot. They sent me a couple things and a little invitation to an event they're having. And there was sort of an interesting group of people who belonged to that. This was founded by F.P. Journe for independent watchmakers. And my God, the people who are in it are just like Philippe Dufour, Laurent Ferrier, all of these great people. And then they have other ones that are two other levels before they become members. One's, I think, is sort of a aspirant, and then after that they become I don't know what, something or other, and finally they let them in. And these guys' watches are just unreal, and what they're doing. And they have a little group you can be a supporter of some sort, and you know, you talk to them, and really interesting kind of stuff. Mark of Long Island Watts said he's going to Baselworld, but staying in Germany to save on his hotel bill. Yeah. You know, one thing, there was one thing, if you ever go to Switzerland, and you're thinking of committing a crime, uh, not a problem, especially an economic crime, but be sure to pay your hotel bill before you make your getaway. They'll follow you to the end of the earth. Hey, Paul's Reviews, how's it going, man? Uh, the so yeah, I really want to go. I This summer I'm going to go see Rolf Lang in Dresden, Germany. I don't know, but I'd like to also see Marco Lang. But I met him at the show last October. Okay, what else is new? Take everything with me when I'm going to Basel. It's only 2 hours away from my house. Oh, you live 2 hours away. You say it's a 2 hour drive to how do you pronounce it? Basel, Basel? I'm not sure. Don't speed there. I become recently curious about Volcane. Yeah. Thank you. Um, and with the train. Yeah. That's like me going to New York. It's about 2 hours from a drive down to the train station, which is about an hour, and then from there to into New York City. The same kind of thing. All right. All right. Who got a new watch? Anybody get a new watch lately? Basel. Okay. Thank you, Thomas. I'm curious what a hotel costs to stay in Basel. Dresden is a great city. To be sure to visit Glashütte as well. Abdul, I can't. I'm not going to have time. I'm going to barely have time to get to Dresden. I'm going to Nuremberg, and it's about a 2 hour drive to Dresden from there. John B, new watch. John, what kind of new watch did you get? No? Okay. Um, got a Siegel 1963 yesterday. Really, 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 really. Oh, that must be interesting. I didn't. Well, I sort of knew, but I didn't know much about it. Just bought a Steinhardt Flieger. Those are neat watches. I like Steinhardt. That's an honest watch company. That's why I like them. Dresden is indeed a good place to visit. You know, David, I wish I had more time to spend there. Um, I got a new vintage watch, Blumus, hand wind 35 millimeter. That sounds cool. Um, from 1965. Got two, but I mean to get one. That happens. I got a Rolex Steel Daytona from Eurowatch, and then 4 days later, my ID called with a Rolex Ceramic Daytona. Now I need to figure out how to sell one, I think. uh, that's interesting. Just picked up a Cartier Privé. Oh, really? Oh, wow, Tim, that's a very interesting watch. Um, Hi, Haha or Haja. Clyde bought an Audemars Piguet offshore. Yeah, I saw a picture of Clyde's watch. That was the one I was trying to find out about the uh, what it was the Cloncenet on it. Oh man, Rich, I don't know. I'm still waiting to get my Rolex. I haven't got my first Rolex yet, and that's because I keep seeing other things I want. Hello, Alex. You're a new fan. Oh, good. Um, okay, let's see. Okay, so you got I didn't think it was hard to find somebody who wanted to buy a Daytona, and I suppose I know that they have all of these different, very finely drawn lines in the different Rolex hierarchy, which is like, oh, mine is 1.4 instead of 1.5. I guess the reason I find that funny is because some people say, well, you shouldn't have these tiers and yada yada yada, but within their own brand, they are tiered to death. Okay, I'd take Clyde's AP any day. Celestial one. Okay, I just never sold a watch.
It's 4 o'clock.
It's 4 o'clock. Okay. Now we got a little more time. Okay, so what else is there? Anything about what the watch companies are up to? What's something the watch companies have done really good lately? I complain a lot when they're trying to screw us, but does anybody have anything that they said, hey, listen, this company just did X, and that's really a good thing. They have a new something or other that's really neat, and they did something nice. Oh, I tell you one thing I know about, and I'm trying to get a similar deal going. Moritz Grossman got together, and this isn't brand new, but it's sort of an interesting thing. They got together with, it's called Red Bar, and they're going to give Red Bar, some of the members of Red Bar's, one of their watches, and then they'll put them out and so forth to, and talk about them and sort of get them known. I know a number of people who've bought Moritz Grossman watches, and they really love them. And they use, God, I think it's like a 3/5 plate on them, and so you can see a lot of the movement through the back. Okay, everything is easy to sell until then everybody's out to stiff you. I don't think Omega is capitalizing on their great movements. They may not be. Alex, Alex, yeah. Hey, listen, we're doing a lot of collection reviews. Alex, I tell you what, there's a not too distance, a fairly recent video I did on how to get your collections ready for a review. And I've been getting a lot of them, and they're really good. And the thing that I like about reviews isn't, I mean, I've got some that are just really, very high level, but the ones I think that I enjoy just as much are the ones where somebody has something interesting. If somebody's got a collection, there was this one collection I saw years ago. A guy had these relatively cheap Tag Heuers, and they were these different colors, and he just loved them. He went on and on about it. It was fascinating, much more interesting than somebody who's got 50 Patek Philippe's and says, "Oh, look at this." So that's something else too that I think is neat. Okay, you guys, you don't like the 50th anniversary Speedmaster, okay? So Alex, yeah. Some of your collection, okay? There's take a look at the set on how to do it. One of the things that's most important if you want to send in your collection, is to have the pictures, have them in good light, and just make them nice and clear. I get some of them are all different kinds of sizes and stuff. And if you've got you take one from the other side of the room and there's a little bitty watch, and if you blow it up, it becomes pixelized and looks awful. So, some of you guys, maybe you can have some advice or tips on how to prepare them. The ones that did a good job, but take a look at the videos he made on that. Okay, all right. Thank you. Hey, Will, what's up? Unrelated question, but I've been really curious. How do your FPs, your own resonance, and H Moser double hairsprings look on a time grapher? Oh, great questions. They drive them crazy. They really do. I mean, with a resonance, you got two watches in there, two movements, wheeling things around, and the I think after my time grapher looks at that, it goes out and has a stiff martini. It doesn't. I'm trying to remember on the double hairspring, the H. Moser double hairspring. That thing, the best way to do any time graphing on it is simply wind it up. I check the time on my computer, then check it, 2 days later, and that double hairspring, that H. Mosers are built so well. They are the best watch. And if you can find one, get it. They are just really wonderful watches. Hey, Jamie. Um, so yeah, you've got, you know, some of these things, or at least my time grapher. Now, if you have some of these, some of the time graphers they have, like the watch manufacturers, those things are multi-thousand-dollar time graphers that really, really can handle these different kinds of things. But my time grapher I got one of those Weechi 1000s or whatever they're called, and it's fine. I really like it. The other one, the one that I like the best, and a lot of people hate them, is the hi Jamie, again. The one I like the best is really the Frederick Constant. The reason I like the Frederick Constant is that it's got this database in there, and every time I do a little test of my watches, I can store it in this database, and I can look at it, 10 months later, and I have all of the timing information that is saved for me. So it's really neat. So I like it. I know a lot of people say they don't like it. Let me see. Where is it? Here it is. Basically, all it is you get this little clip, and you plug it into your phone. I think they have them both for iPhones and Android-based phones. Plug it in, and this works. This is the part that goes on the side where you have your movement. You clip it. Now, somebody told me, they said with fat watches, this doesn't work very well. And I believe it. I mean, because what it has, it's got a tiny microphone in there, and the microphone picks it up and then sends it up the hill. Dr. A and B, how you been, man? Anyhow, so this is what I like. A lot of people don't like them. I mean, well, they had a lot of problems with it. That can happen. Sometimes I've got to hold this doing the timing just so it'll get some of these more sensitive ones or fatter ones. But by and large, it works really well. Hey, something I wanted to mention too is that I got a PM from a guy who has watch like this. This is the Lang & Hein, and the Frederick II and the Frederick III both have a movement called Movement 6. That's not too fancy, and it has a 55-hour charge to it. So you wind it up, and it says 55 hours. And so he said his was running out a lot quicker than that. And so would I test mine? So I wound it up and gave it a test, and I missed it by, like, I think 50 minutes or something like that. It was very close, but it wasn't like a big loss. And then he wound his up again and tried it, and it was fine. So those things happen. But one thing, on most of my watches, other than my weekly on my Beauvais 1930, I don't really pay much attention to how long they last, and even though I probably should. Do you guys, when you get a new watch, you wind the thing up all the way? I know most people get the automatics. I don't like automatics, but I have some. This is an automatic. But the thing about a wind up is that you can test and see if it has the amount of hours. Do you guys do that? I was just curious. It's one of those things that I probably will do it from now on, but with my manual wines. But I was wondering if you guys did that too. See, can you give me a source for stainless steel cases? I want a 41 millimeter and below. I've only been able to find 44 to 47. Okay, Red Screen's Pride. Okay, the 41 millimeters, I think I have one, and I got it at Fry. They were pretty expensive there, I got to tell you. I mean, compared to the ones my usual source in China. But the ones from Auto Fry, ofry.com, they do have them in 41 millimeters. I got them, but this is for the bigger movements, for the 64, 97, 98, or the ST36 clones. So you can get a 41 millimeter there. Now, for the smaller ones, it's easy to get smaller ones for smaller movements. But a place that I'm starting to look at more is Germany. Germany seems to have some places with some, again, they're a good deal more expensive, but they're pretty good. There's this place called, I think it's 80 Dial or something like that, place I recently discovered, and they're doing some interesting things. A couple of places I've written to, and I've asked them, I said, would you guys sell dials, or would you sell cases? And some of them say, well, we're using them all right now, but if we get a surplus, sure. So if you're interested in making watches and different sources of stuff, the Facebook page, The Pretentious Watchmakers, and again, the pretentious watchmakers, none of us have our WASUP trained or anything like that. And we're having a lot of fun, but we're producing watches, and some of the stuff that the guys have come up with is really good and very interesting, and it's a lot less expensive than every time you want a watch, you run out and you get a $10,000 watch somewhere. So that's another thing, because it's relatively less expensive. Okay, do you have to remove the case back to use the time graph? Absolutely not. In fact, you wouldn't want to do that. What I do for when I first get them, I got everything sort of together here. They come in a little plastic case, and I just use a plastic case, put on the time grapher, wind it up with, they always give you a stem too long, so you got to fix that. And so I wind it up and put it in here. But for the time grapher, you've got to have, in your watches, you pretty much have to have your front and back of your cases cased up. I was deciding between that and a YC. Went for the YC since some of the other phone apps weren't very accurate. Oh, well, yeah, I've got both of them, and I think that the thing about the YC, it's just so much easier for me to grab this thing, and I got to set the thing up and plug it in and everything. And I guess some people, it's just the way things are arranged. I got so much junk around here that it's simply something I keep under my desk until I need it, and I pull it out and put it together and then put it back again. So, yeah, I mean, if you're only going to have one, I think the YC one, the YC, what do they go for? About $135 for the 1000. I have a new one called the 1900, and I think that's a little more expensive, not much more, and that's one you might want to look into too. Is that I've always think I will consolidate to higher horology pieces, but I can never bear to sell what I have. Yeah, that's a problem with me too, Rich. I don't want to get rid of some. I've got this watch. This is something that I'm thinking of extending as my what I call my outlaw collection. This is These are watches that have Jean-Pierre Jacquet's 736 movement, which is a fabulous movement, and that was carried on by Lejeune Pereira after he had to go to jail. So it's sort of a fun one to have. RGM has used it. He got them a long time ago, and if you talk to Roland Murphy about about Jacquet, he gets vague on it sometimes. A moving house. Oh man. Okay. All right. Well, listen, guys, I sort of went over it today, but thanks. And tomorrow we're having a really different kind of collection review. About a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, we did a review of of the of Anthony's, and what he did, he sent me his new collection that he had since we reviewed it, and it's like it's a different and yet it's the same. It's really interesting. So I think you might get a kick out of that, because I always wonder, if you go back now, what did I have back then? I used to have an AP, and it's one of the I had the wrong AP. For me, it was I got it. I paid more than I wanted to for it. I finally ended up using it as a trade-in. You don't get much on a trade-in. The worst possible way, or the best possible way, to lose money on a watch is use it on a trade-in. And probably the best way, but the riskiest way, is to sell it on your own through eBay or someplace like that. Some people are really good at it. I've gotten buys, great buys, both on eBay and also from Chrono 24. But the ones I like the best is when I deal directly with the seller. Usually this is going to be someplace like, Shop Worn. I like their stuff. They have good prices. And a number of other places, and dealing directly with them. And those I don't worry about are go visit 47th Street against Federico's warning. Don't go there. Okay, well, see you guys. Thanks for coming, and hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.